Let's not blame Enoch. We need to blame Cyril. Cyril is the real villain behind South Africa's budget disaster. South Africa is on the brink of financial collapse, and there's one man to blame, Cyril Ramaphosa. Not the finance minister, not the coalition partners, but the so-called great deal maker himself. Yeah, right. Cyril has been missing in action while the economy crumbles, and it's time we call him out. So let's look at the facts. The budget speech, a cornerstone of governance, was delayed in an unprecedented blunder. Why? Because the ANC-led coalition couldn't agree on the numbers 2 hours before it went live. South Africa's growth is at 0.8%, and the forecast is a pathetic 1.8%, lower than Britain during its economic meltdown in 1976. Government spending continues to rise while tax revenues shrink. The top taxpayers already fund 25% of personal income tax, and now they want a wealth tax on top of that. The country is drowning in debt, with borrowing escalating to cover bloated public sector wages and failing state-owned enterprises. Madness. Corruption, inefficiency, and vanity projects drain state funds, while businesses suffocate under red tape and crumbling infrastructure. Well done, ANC. The ANC is living in a fantasy where they think they can tax and spend their way out of a crisis. Public spending is out of control, and redistribution is prioritized over wealth creation. Typical ANC. The environment is increasingly hostile to businesses and wealth creators, pushing capital and talent out of the country. The ANC refuses to take responsibility. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana was thrown under the bus. But Ramaphosa is the real culprit. And the coalition, the government we have, was supposed to introduce stability. But instead it has become a circus of indecision and incompetence. If South Africa doesn't course correct now, an IMF bailout is inevitable. We need a full change of direction. And why aren't more people talking about this? How long before South Africa becomes a full-blown failed state, like our northerly neighbor? And what happens when the tax base finally collapses and there's no one left to foot the bill? This is not just another budget failure. It's a sign that the ANC has no plan, no vision, and no capacity to lead. The path forward is actually simple. Enoch, stop the reckless spending and scrap non-essential government departments like the Department of Small Business Development. Sell off half our overseas embassies. Cut corruption, enforce accountability, and privatize the failing state-owned enterprises. How often do we have to say that? Reduce tax burdens and simplify regulations to make South Africa an attractive place for investment and entrepreneurship. If nothing changes, South Africa will be forced into IMF control, losing its economic sovereignty. Maybe that's not a bad thing. But if we act now, there's still time to turn this around, and for South Africa to become a thriving, investment-friendly economy. Wouldn't we like that? Spineless Cyril needs to stop hiding and start leading. South Africa needs economic reforms, not political excuses. And whether Cyril likes it or not, time is running out.